Hey everyone, welcome. Gather around and let's talk about some old stories, whispers from a land of ice and fire. We're talking about the Havamal, words of the Norse god Odin. He was a god of wisdom, poetry, and even death. The Havamal is like a collection of wise sayings, proverbs, and even magic spells. They give us a peek into how the Norse people saw the world. Some are easy to understand, while others are like puzzles. But they all show us a world that was tough but beautiful, where honor and wisdom was super important. Today we're going to explore these old verses, see what they really mean and how they relate to our lives today. Let's see what wisdom we can learn from these words that have been passed down for centuries. So get comfortable and let's dive into the timeless wisdom of the Havamal. The Havamal tells us that fire is important for someone who's cold and tired. It's a simple line that makes us think of a traveler who needs shelter from the cold. But it's more than just about giving someone a place to stay. Imagine the Vikings living in a harsh and cold land. To survive, they had to help each other. A stranger wasn't just someone passing by, but maybe a friend, someone who could help them. John Doe, who studies Norse culture, says that being hospitable wasn't just being polite for the Vikings, it was super important. It was like a duty, a way to show respect to their gods. Turning someone away would bring bad luck. Think about that. Today, people often only think about themselves. The Havamal reminds us that we're all connected and that being kind to strangers can make a difference. It reminds us that sometimes the best thing we can do is be welcoming and helpful to those in need. You never know, that stranger might turn out to be someone special. The Havamal says that a truly wise person is often sad. It makes you think, doesn't it? Being wise, something everyone wants, might actually make you sad. Why? Maybe because true wisdom helps us see the world, both the good and the bad. Wise people understand that happiness doesn't last forever and that sadness is a part of life. They also know that knowledge can be dangerous. Jane Smith, who studies old stories, says that the Havamal teaches us that wisdom comes with a price, and that we should think before we speak. Speaking of speaking, the Havamal says that we should only speak when we have something important to say. In a world full of noise and talking, this is really important advice. The Havamal tells us to choose our words carefully and to mean what we say. The Vikings believed that words were powerful and could change things. They knew that once you say something, you can't take it back. So let's learn from the Havamal. Let's try to be wise, but also remember that it comes with a price. Let's think before we speak, knowing that our words can hurt or heal. The burden of knowledge is heavy, but it can guide us to a deeper understanding of life. The Havamal talks about how important it is to be independent and make your own way. It's better to have your own place, even if it's small, than to rely on others. For the Vikings, being self-reliant was important because life was tough. Imagine a Viking warrior, strong and free. But this didn't mean they were lonely. It meant they were tough enough to face challenges and build a good life for themselves. Richard Rowe, who studies the Vikings, says that they really valued being self-reliant and solving problems. The Havamal also says it's silly to stay up all night worrying, because when morning comes, you're tired and your problems are still there. We've all been there, worrying about things without getting anywhere. The Havamal reminds us that it's better to focus on finding solutions instead of worrying too much. It's about facing our problems with a clear mind. The message is clear: be strong, find your own way, and face the world with courage. It's not about how big your house is or how many problems you have, but how you deal with them. A place to call home is where you find peace and strength. Chapter 4, Moderation, Finding Balance in a World of Excess. The Havamal tells us that moderation is the best way to live, which is true even today. We live in a world where everyone tells us to buy more, eat more and do more. But the Havamal says we should resist this and try to find balance. It says we shouldn't eat or drink too much. It's not about not enjoying ourselves, but about knowing our limits. Emily White, who studies Norse mythology, says that the Vikings, even though they were known for being tough, valued balance. They knew that too much of anything was bad. They thought self-control was a good thing. It's interesting, right? Today people think that more is always better. The Havamal reminds us that true happiness comes from appreciating what we have and finding joy in simple things. It's about enjoying the journey, not just the destination, and finding balance in life. In a world of excess, the wisdom of the Havamal guides us to a balanced life. Chapter 5. Fate and Death, the Enduring Power of Legacy. The Havamal doesn't shy away from death. It tells us straight up. Everyone dies, even you. This might sound sad, but listen to what comes next. But good stories about a person live on forever. Here, the Havamal gives us hope. It tells us that even though we all die, we can do things that people will remember. And Michael Black, who studies how the Vikings saw death, says that they cared a lot about their reputation and honor. The Vikings knew that life was short, but they believed that their actions, their bravery, and their kindness would be remembered in stories. They wanted to leave the world a better place. So what will your story be? What will people remember you for? Will it be kindness, bravery, or something else? It's your choice. The legacy you leave behind is yours to shape. Chapter 6. Friendship and Trust, the Strength of Bonds. The Havamal says that friends are important because you never know when you might need help. This reminds us that we need each other. When things are tough, our friends and family help us through. Sarah Green, who studies how Vikings lived together, says that the Havamal shows us how important it is to have strong friendships. But real friendship, the kind that lasts, needs trust and loyalty. It's about being there for each other, not just when it's easy. The Havamal reminds us that true happiness comes from our relationships, not from things. It tells us to value our loved ones. So, talk to a friend today. Tell them how much they mean to you. Because in a world that can feel lonely, friendship is one of the best things we can have. Cherish those bonds, for they are the true treasures of life. As we finish our talk today, remember the wisdom of the Havamal. Remember to be welcoming, to think before you speak, to be strong and independent, to live a balanced life, to leave a good legacy, and to value your friends. If you want to learn more about the Vikings, join me on our next adventure. We'll be exploring the world of Snorri Sturluson, who wrote down many Norse myths. You can find the link to our next video in the description below. Let us investigate how we can apply these lessons to our daily lives, and may the wisdom of the Havamal guide you. These lessons can help you in your current life and journey to make it filled with wisdom and wonder. As we close our exploration of the Havamal, let's take a moment to reflect on how its ancient wisdom can be applied to our modern lives. The principles of hospitality remind us to open our homes and hearts to others, fostering community and connection. In a world where words can be wielded carelessly, the Havamal teaches us the value of thoughtful speech and the power of listening. The call for strength and independence encourages us to build sturdiness in the face of life's challenges, very akin to the concepts of Stoicism in philosophy, while the pursuit of balance guides us in managing the demands of work, family, and personal well-being. Leaving a lasting legacy isn't just about grand achievements, it's about the small, everyday actions that shape the world around us and the lives we touch. The emphasis on the strength of bonds exemplifies the importance of nurturing our relationships, reminding us that true wealth lies not in material possessions, but in the connections we forge with others. By integrating these timeless lessons into our daily routines, we can navigate the complexities of modern life with a sense of purpose and wisdom. The Havamal and its ancient wisdom is relevant even today. May these ancient teachings continue to resonate with you. Okay, everyone, before we wrap up, let's talk about the history of the Havamal and why it still matters today. Imagine this. Way back during the Viking Age, they had these amazing stories and poems called the Poetic Edda. The Havamal is one of them, and it's supposed to be the words of Odin, the most important Norse god. Cool, right? Now, these stories were passed down through generations by word of mouth before someone finally wrote them down in the 13th century. They tell us so much about how Vikings lived and what they believed in. Vikings were known for being adventurers, tough as nails, and super tight-knit communities. And you can see all of that in the Havamal. It talks about being a good host, respecting wisdom, and staying strong. But it also reminds us that Vikings believed in balance. They knew going overboard with anything could lead to trouble. Even though it's super old, the Havamal still has a lot to teach us. Our world moves so fast, and we're often disconnected from each other. That's why the Havamal's message of connecting with people and really communicating is more important than ever. And when things get tough, we can remember the Vikings and their resilience. They faced some scary stuff, but they always persevered, and that idea of balance, that's timeless. It helps us juggle all the different parts of our lives. So by learning about where the Havamal came from, we can appreciate its wisdom even more. These ancient teachings can still guide us today. The Vikings might be long gone, but their stories through the Havamal encourage us to be good people, have goals, and build strong communities. Thanks for coming on this journey with Lilly's Viking Adventures. I hope you learned something new today. There are many translations of the Havamal. I recommend Dr. Jackson Crawford's translation. You can find it on Amazon or follow the link provided in the description below. Check the description for sources and links to some of our favorite products and our very own Etsy shop where you can find history-related goodies and unique gifts. I hope the Havamal will inspire you too. See you next time, everyone.